In this video, I performed a wash and wax on a 2014 Ford Raptor, and that includes a thorough wash, clean the paint to remove any above surface contaminants, and then clean the wheels and tires and apply a wax sealant on the paint. I also did a basic interior cleaning once I was done, but I didn't catch that on camera. The detail itself took me right under three and a half hours to complete. Now, in this video, I didn't use any water other than the 5-gallon bucket of water that I brought from my home, because I wanted to challenge myself and to you guys to say, look, you don't need the full setup when you're first starting off, or just any point in your business if you know the type of customers that you have. And what I mean by that is, I get plenty of emails, comments, and messages of people saying, hey, look, I want to start my business, but I don't have a van, I don't have a pressure washer, I don't have a water tank, so I can't do XYZ. And at this point in time, with how advanced some of the products are, you don't have to have the full traditional setup to do some services. So in this particular situation, I had access to the water and a water hose. All I had to do is drive the truck up the driveway and I'd have access to water. But I wanted to challenge myself and to show you guys, look, you don't need everything when you're first starting off if you know what you're doing. And I explain it more throughout the video, but in this wash and wax, I only had one 5-gallon bucket of water filled with warm water because it was kind of chilly in the morning, and that's how I do the O&R wash, and then use that same water to clean the wheels and tires once I'm done with the wash. And yes, I do the paint first and then work on the wheels because I only have one bucket of water. It's absolutely fine. You gotta get creative sometimes, and I'll explain more of that in the video. And if you want even more information, you can use the Garrett wash method. That's a really good wash method if you just want to use water with no other type of a source of water. And in some cities or states, depending where you live, you're not even permitted to use any type of water. So imagine if you're in that situation and you're saying, you know what, I absolutely need this water tank and pressure washer and foam cannon. Some cities or states don't even allow you to use any water when you're washing vehicles. So if you're in that type of situation, what are you gonna do? Well, you're just gonna figure it out and do what you need to do. So have that mindset when you're first starting off. And if you need help with the services you want to offer in your detailing business, check out this guide on the 9 detailing services that you can offer. It has what's included in the service, how much you can charge, how long it might take, the value, how to properly sell it, the benefits. All that is in this, one of my most popular guides on this channel. So just check the description box down below, click the link and download the guide and put it to use. Other than that, let's get into the wash and wax. And real quick, there's a lot of trolls out there that don't like me talking so much. I'm trying to pass on as much information as I have. So if you don't want to hear any talking and you just want to see a vehicle being cleaned, either mute the video or go watch another video, because I do talk a lot in this video because I'm trying to put as much information in my head through the video to your head so you can use it. Let's get going. So once I get on site, I text the customer. I told him I was there. He said his wife was home and the truck was parked outside, so I could just go ahead and get started. And so I did. And this was a wash and wax on a 2014 Ford Raptor. And before we get started, I just want to point out it was a bit chilly in the morning, so I took a bucket of warm water from my house. That way my hands aren't freezing when I'm there. And I'm only using this one bucket of water to do the entire truck. That way, because it wasn't that bad. And in this video, I wanted to show you guys that you can do you can detail vehicles without having the full setup. Could I drive the vehicle up to the customer's driveway and use a water hose? Yes, but I wanted to challenge myself in this video to show you guys that yes, if you don't have everything that you want to start your business, you can still get the job done. So yes, I could have pulled up the truck to the driveway and used a water hose for the wheels, tires, and the paint. But this truck wasn't that bad and it didn't really need it. And also just to challenge myself to show you guys that you can do it with just whatever you have, which is, in this case, I'm just using this one bucket of water to do the entire wash and wax. Now I started off with the first half of the roof and then I moved the bench. That way I can finish off the other side of the roof, and as well as work the windshield and the top of the hood, because I know I'm not going to be able to reach that without the bench. So since I have the bench there already, I'm going to go ahead and take care of all the areas that I'll need the bench for. And throughout the detail, you'll see me pause a little bit, like for a few seconds. That's because there was some type of adhesive tape throughout the paint or on the vehicle. So those few seconds that I'm just there kind of with my hand extended, it's because I'm trying to peel off that tape that's on there. But I want to work in a very efficient manner, so I'm gonna take care of everything that I needed with the bench. So I took care of the roof, from the back side. I use the bench to get the side of the roof and the windshield. And now that's the last time I'll need the bench before I get to everything else. So now the bench is done. I've taken care of all the high spots, and now I'm gonna move to the side of the vehicle. So sorry, hey.
Oscar, right?
Yes,
Hi,
Oscar.
nice to meet you.
My hands are wet.
Okay.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Raphael's wife.
Yes, he told me. Yes, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna be here in case you need anything. Just
Okay.
let me know.
Yeah, he
You
told
want
me.
water or?
No, I'm absolutely fine for now. What was your name?
Mabel.
Mabel? Okay, no, I'm absolutely fine, Mabel.
Okay.
So yeah, thank you though. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And I will say this, you never want that to happen. And this is not even detailing related, but this is just having situational awareness, where you don't want to have your music playing too loud, or you don't want to be too focused on the detail where you're not checking your surroundings. Because again, we are mobile, we are detailing in areas that we don't know. So you always want to be vigilant and make sure you know what's around you and who's around you for whatever reason. You just don't want to be blind and forget about all your surroundings just because you're working or listening to music. But anyway, so now again, this is just me washing the vehicle on the other side of the vehicle. And you could give it a better view because the sun's hitting it more direct. But remember, you have to be you have to keep in mind that if you're gonna do the same method as I do, where you wash and then immediate clay, you need to work in sections depending on how hot the vehicle is and how hot it is outside. Right now, during this detail, it wasn't that hot, and the paint surface wasn't hot as well. So I could go the entire panel without any of the product drying because again, the paint wasn't hot and it wasn't hot outside. So it was very easy to do the entire side of the truck without it drying on me because it wasn't hot. Now, if the paint was hot, if it was 93 degrees outside and there was 50% humidity, I'm not gonna do the entire truck in one go. I'm gonna do section by section. Maybe I start off with the truck, with the bed, finish that part, then move over to the door, finish that part, move on over to the next door. And what I mean by that is I'd wash, clay, and dry it, and then I'd move on to the next one. So keep that in mind because if you let it dry on the paint, then you're just gonna do a lot more work than if you just complete it all in one step. So keep in mind the weather when you're detailing any type of vehicle, whether it be interior or exterior. You want to keep in mind of the weather, as that's gonna affect your overall detail. Now, if the truck was dirtier, then I have several options I can go with. I could either use multiple wash mitts, maybe 2 or 3 wash mitts. One wash mitt for the bottom half of the vehicle, another wash mitt for the upper half, and the third wash mitt just for wherever I need it. Or I could use dedicated microfiber towels to clean the bottom side. So instead of using a wash mitt for the dirty areas, just use dedicated microfiber towels and discard those towels once you do the initial 2-3 passes on that towel. So just even if it was dirtier, you still have options on what you can do to either to clean the vehicle without needing a full water setup or water hose. You just got to get a little bit creative. You're still doing an efficient job just because you don't have, the water hose or the pressure washer. Just get a little bit creative. And there's some states or cities that don't even let you use any type of water. So sometimes you will be forced to be creative to get the job done with your detailing business. Now let's move on to the tailgate. This is the last part before I start, before I pass the vehicle with the Car Pro eraser to wipe down any polish. And note that I'm gonna use the wash mitt and I'm gonna clay the vehicle on the painted surfaces, but where on the footsteps or whatever where you actually place your foot to step over, I'm gonna just use APC on that because there's no actual paint there, so I don't need to dirty the wash mitts or my drying towel on that area because it's not painted surfaces, and I can get a bit more aggressive with it because it's actually just plastic and metal. So here on the paint, I'm gonna just wash it and clay it as usual, but on that part you can see there I'm using super clean 10-to-1, and then I'm gonna follow it up with a microfiber towel because it is very dirty and it needs to be cleaned, and I'm not gonna use a drying towel to hit those areas because that's just gonna get it much more dirtier than needed, and those are dedicated clean dirty towels that I'm using for areas such as those they're not painted surfaces, but they still need to be clean. So keep that in mind. And also throughout this vehicle, throughout the rest of the detail, you'll see me use probably the same color, which is going to be yellow or green, but I have plenty of towels that I'm pulling from. So don't think I'm using the same towel on the paint, on the tires, on the wheels, on the plastic. I have plenty of towels, and I separate them as I'm detailing, so I know which towels belong to which area that I'm cleaning. And now I'm just gonna take another towel and run it along the seams of where the plastic is, just because water and dirt sits there sometimes, so it accumulates and you can see like this fine shadow of dirt. So I just wanted to run through there and get that off of the seams there. So I went along the entire vehicle, the entire truck, and getting all those areas out that I could, just, you know, touch up details just to make sure it looks nice and good when the owner gets there. And right here, I'm actually gonna clean the gas cap with just some towels. I sprayed some APC and I'm just touching up the gas cap a little bit. Again, it wasn't that dirty, but it's something that, you know, when you're washing or doing any type of exterior work, you want to make sure you get the gas cap, because again, the owner probably sees it. So when they see something clean, they're gonna be like, oh my god, great details, and you can show them that part once you're done with the vehicle. And here I'm cleaning the fenders with my green brush. Now the brush is a bit wet because I have it in the unused water of the O&R wash. I took out all the towels and wash mitts and I put my brush towels in there. And keep in mind, it wasn't that dirty, so it wasn't creating that much of a mess. But I sprayed APC, I used a green brush to scrub, and then I used different towels. Again, I used plenty of different towels to actually clean the fenders to a desirable result. So don't think I'm using the same towel on the paints or the wheels and the fenders. I have dedicated towels for everything, and it is a bit more work. Would it be easier if I had the water hose, pressure washer, and, you know, giving it a full clean down? It'd probably be easier, but would it be any faster? Would it, you know, am I losing a lot of time by doing this? It depends, yes or no. In this specific situation, they weren't that bad, and I could easily reach the entire fender because it's a truck and it's, you know, there's a lot more space for me to work in. So it wasn't that difficult, and with 1 or 2 towels I was able to clean the entire fender on the entire per wheel and fender on the entire vehicle. So if you don't have don't think you're stuck and you can't do anything else. You just gotta do what you have to do with what you have. And here I'm cleaning the, what's this called? I would call this the step ladder part thing for the truck. And I think it's called rhino liner or something, but it's there's so much texture in that. So instead of just scrubbing it down with the towel, because it's not plastic, it has a very texture to the material. So I used a brush and APC to wipe it down. And again, it's all about checking your work. So even though I scrubbed it down once, there was still a bit of dirt in there. So I sprayed it and agitated again with the towel on the areas that needed it. So don't think you're gonna be perfect on the first go. Now let's get to the fun part and start washing the wheels and tires. As you saw before I sprayed that APC, there wasn't much dirt, there wasn't much gunk. So I didn't need to go overly aggressive with this because it's more of a maintenance touch up. But I sprayed it with APC, scrubbed it down with my green brush, which is in the water of the unused water from the wash that I used with O&R. And I scrubbed it down. I placed towels on the floor to catch any of that dirt. Now I will not use those towels anymore. Once those towels hit the ground and I'm using it to catch the dirt, those are set separately from all the other towels and they're never used again. And I'll show you that later on just how I separate them. But then I clean the face of the wheel with that small lug nut brush, but later in the videos I only use a fender brush because I figured out it's much easier just to use that green brush. And then I dry everything down with the towels with either water or O&R. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do here. It's just water. I already cleaned it, so there's not much dirt on there. I'm still gonna get dirt on the towel because I probably missed a few areas, but I just sprayed it down to get some lubrication. And I'm gonna clean the lug holes, the lug nuts, by squeezing the towel in there and agitating, and then just following along the entire wheel to get any missed areas. And now I'm gonna apply the tire dressing. This is Meguiar's Hyper Dressing Diluted 4-to-1, and I'm just using an applicator pad to evenly distribute it across the tire. And with bigger tire size vehicles, mainly trucks, you're gonna want to pay a bit more attention than like a sedan or coupe or normal size vehicle, because they're gonna have more grooves, they're gonna be bigger, so it's gonna be easier for you to either miss an area, have an uneven area, or have some of the dressing, some of the solution drip down. So you want to pay more closer attention. And this is just another perspective. I think the sun was hitting it better, so it gave you a better view on how I applied it, and just the difference between not having dressing and having dressing. And in this next clip, I'm going to be dressing the fender wells. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind with fender wells is that you can either spray it onto the towel and then distribute it on the fender, or you can spray it directly onto the fender. Just keep in mind that some of that, if you spray onto the fender, you will have some overspray and it will get on the paint. So that's why I opted out to spray it on the towel and then apply it to not get overspray on the truck. And now this is me literally just putting up my towels in a dedicated bag. I have plenty of towels and I just I put any of the dirty towels in just one dedicated bag. If I'm using any type of like wax or polished towels, those go separately because I don't want to cross-contaminate those because some of the towels I use are very dirty. And this is just another quick example of those two towels that I placed on the ground. They're set separately so I don't use them again. And what I'm using here is Carb Pro Eraser. It's basically wiping down any polish or oils that may be on the paint. So that way you want to remove that so the wax or sealant has a better bonding with the paint so it can last longer. Now in this case, the vehicle hasn't been, I don't think it's been waxed in a very while. I think I asked the customer. So there's the chances of there being any polish or oils is probably very low, but that doesn't mean taking that good extra step definitely doesn't hurt and it doesn't take that much time. And now I'm applying Chemical Guys Blacklight. That's what I use. I have 2 or 3 other waxes, sealants, spray waxes in my arsenal, but this is just the one I keep on going to because I'm trying to finish it before I move on to the next one. But like I said earlier in the video, I'm able to apply wax on the entire side of the vehicle because it's not that hot. And what you see there is I'm using just ONR diluted as a clay lube to help remove the sealant once I'm done. Now I'm not dousing, it's just a little spritz of ONR. That way I can just lubricate the area a little bit more to make it easier for me to wipe down. Now I use about 3-4 towels throughout this truck to wipe down the wax. So again, you're gonna see me use a yellow towel the entire time, but I have plenty of towels that I can use. So I do use about 3 or 4 towels along this entire truck to wipe off the sealant. Now I was going to use the Greets Garage 6-inch polisher with the red pad attached to spray the wax, but because there's quite a few curves and a few areas that the pad wouldn't fit, I just thought, you know what, this is a pretty straightforward truck. It's going to be very easy for me to apply by hand, so let me just go ahead and use hand instead of bringing out the generator and hooking up the polisher. But again, if you want it, does a polisher help? Yes, it could, on the flat surfaces, but I'd have to use my, I'd have to go by hand to get closer to the edges. So I thought, you know what, let me just go by hand. And that's another tip you can take away, is that when you are applying wax or sealant, and you don't want to get that wax into the crevices or seams or anywhere else but the paint, then always stay at least 1/2 inch to 1 inch away from the surrounding area. So as you can see along the truck, I'm not getting close to the window seals, to the door handles, because I don't want any of that product to get wedged in there and then me having to spend more time digging it out with a towel or a brush. So instead, I just stay away from that area at least 1 inch, 1.5 inches, 1/2 inch to 1 inch, to make sure I don't have to take that extra step and remove that sealant in those crevices, because then it dries and then you can clearly see where you left it, and it just, right there, and that might be as noticeable because it's not dry yet, but give it a few hours or even days and it'll be very, very noticeable. And what I just showed you there is I put too much product on the pad, so I went ahead and spread it across the entire vehicle. That way I didn't want to use it all in one section, so I just tapped it along the entire vehicle to evenly distribute it. Now, as you are working outside, the wind's gonna be kicking and you will get a light layer of dust or debris on the vehicle, just because it's the nature of you being outside. You're gonna get stuff on it. So always make sure that you guys wipe it down real quick before you get started. That way you're not just, either drying it or, doing any type of work on the paint while there's like a light layer of dust or debris on the vehicle. Especially if you're trying to polish paint, make sure you're always wiping it down beforehand before you start polishing, so you don't catch any debris in that pad. But same thing applies here if you're just trying to apply wax or if you're just trying to wipe it down. Inspect the paint to see if there's any type of debris on it. And finally, we're moving to the last portion, and that's the tailgate, following the exact same process of wiping it down with Carb Pro Eraser, applying the wax, and then wiping it down with the towel. And keep in mind, I'm staying away at least half an inch to an inch away from all those emblems so I don't get wax in those areas. Okay, and this is just the my setup during the entire vehicle. We were in a little cul-de-sac. I was parked behind the vehicle, and this is the after. So now let me just give you a quick walk through. So the wheels are nice and clean using those brushes and towels, as well are the fenders. As you can tell, they came out great. Yes, I only used towels and a brush. I didn't hose it down, but it still came out great. It didn't take that long, so they came out with great results. Again, and keep in mind, it matters how you have your camera, what type of camera, where you're looking at it. If you're on a phone, if you're on a desktop, if you have the lights on, you have the lights off. So all that does dictate how shiny, glossy a paint will look. Keep that in mind. But this fender, I actually dressed it with Meguiar's hyper dressing. Again, evenly distributed it with the towel. It looks amazing from afar, from close. It looks great, as do the tires. So now I'm gonna pan through over the front side. There wasn't much paint there because it's the grill and there's that vinyl on the top of the hood. So there actually wasn't much paint to take care of on the front end of the trunk. And this is just another view on the right front fender well and tire. Looks amazing, and the client was very happy when he got home from work. He sent me a text like at 8 p.m. saying how happy he was with the results. Because he just wanted to get it looking really good because he had just purchased the vehicle. Okay, and that wraps up this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed, you got some type of value from it. If you want to share any comments or feedback or have any questions, leave those down below, as I reply to literally 99.9% of the comments on this YouTube channel. So if you leave a comment, it might take me a minute, an hour, a day, or a week, but I will reply to you. So leave anything that you want to know or have questions of, leave them down below. Like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll see you on the next one.